You will breathe on the holy rites. You will bring divine interpretation of scriptures. And for every one of us as clergy, men and women, to become effective instruments in your hands in this year 2025 and beyond, in Jesus' name. I pray that the admonition you are bringing our ways, our heart will not be filled with sovereignty to throw them aside, but we adhere to these precepts that will impact our lives, our family, and our ministry in Jesus' name. As we come to feed and to dine with you on your holy table, I ask that you give us illumination, give us insight, and that he should take heed, number one, to himself, number two, to the doctrine that has been committed unto his hands, so that by so doing, he will save himself and will save those that will hear him. We said that verse, as small as it is supposed to be a spiritual compendium for New Testament ministers. That in all we do, God expects us to always take heed. If we critically analyze that verse of scriptures, we will become very fruitful and productive in the work of the ministry. There will be little or no room for schism in our midst as clergymen and women, in our family, between the husband, the wife, and our children, and of course between the leaders who are leading the people and the followers who are following the leader. That single admonition of Paul can strengthen the relationship between the pulpit and the pew. It can enhance growth, unity, oneness, and progress in the family between spouses, their children, and those who may be acquaintances. So then, as we listen to these issues, they are not meant to brush our knowledge. They are supposed to be the impartation of the life of Christ as we run the race that is set before us in the year 2025. I brought us to the point where we began to examine the balanced life of a New Testament minister of the gospel. And it brought us to a point where we look at the Old Testament from the wisdom of Solomon. In the book of Ecclesiastes, there was a spiritual order that God established, and we saw yesterday in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verses 8 to 10, where he made it plain to us that, number one, we should begin to address as a pivot our spiritual life and fellowship with him, that our garments must be white. And I took time to explain the scriptural meaning of garments to you. I told you, as clergymen and women, there are 4 kinds of garments that must characterize your life as you rise from the zero to the zenith of your ministry. The Lord showed us from the life of Joseph the garment of our calling that could be so colorful, so promising. But as we progress, that garment must be buried in the pit. And we will rise from the pit to the house of Potiphar. Another garment will be given unto you there. It is a